The biggest mistake people make about a narcissist is thinking they have a big ego. That's not it. It's not that they're full of themselves. It's that there is no self to be full of. What you see isn't a person. It's a fortress. It's a glittering, impressive structure with high walls, polished towers, and flags flying from every turret. It's designed to command your attention, to make you feel small and a little bit jealous. You look at it and you think, wow, someone amazing must live there. But nobody lives there. The king is a ghost. The throne is empty. The entire castle is a magnificent, desperate defense mechanism built around an empty lot. The clinical truth, the one that's hard to see through all the noise and charm, is that a narcissist isn't in love with themselves. They don't have a stable self to love. What they have is an idea, a brand, a story they tell themselves every morning just to get out of bed. It's less like self-love and more like a really intense, lifelong sponsorship deal with themselves. And the brand is better than you. This isn't a story about arrogance. It's a story about a black hole that wears a crown. And understanding how it works isn't just about understanding them. It's about understanding the strange gravitational pull that can warp your own reality if you get too close. So, how does this Phantom King rule his empty castle? He uses a very specific kind of psychological operating system. It's not coded in ones and zeros. It's coded in fear, shame, and a desperate need for attention. Think of it like a user manual for a soul that came with a few key parts missing. The first and most important part of this system is what we can call the user interface. Psychologists call it the false self. This is the part you interact with. It's the shiny, flawless character they play for the world. It's the charming CEO, the brilliant artist, the misunderstood genius, the most spiritual person in the yoga class. It's whatever version of special gets the best results. This false self has a backstory, a grand narrative where they are unique, destined for greatness, and perpetually underestimated by a world of simpletons. Their internal monologue isn't just thoughts. It's a movie trailer for the most important film ever made, starring them, directed by them, and probably catered by them too. This performance is constant. They are never off stage. Their charisma isn't a tool for human connection. It's a sophisticated data mining operation. When they meet you, they are scanning you. They are looking for what you value, what you admire, what you lack. And then, like a shapeshifter, they become that thing. You love intellectual conversation? They suddenly have a strong opinion on 19th century Russian literature. You value kindness? They'll tell you a story about how they rescued a three-legged dog, which may or may not be true. They are building a custom-made personality designed to win you over. But this whole system, this elaborate performance, requires fuel, a lot of it. And that brings us to the second part of the operating system, the power source. It's called narcissistic supply. This is the lifeblood of the false self. It is any form of attention, good or bad, that proves the fortress exists. It's external validation. It can be praise, compliments, admiration, and applause. That's the premium grade fuel. But it can also be fear, conflict, drama, or even your anger. An angry enemy is still an audience. The only thing the system cannot run on is indifference. Being ignored is the equivalent of a power outage. It is terrifying, because if no one is looking, the fortress might not be real. Narcissistic supply is like emotional fast food. It feels good for a second. It hits all the right spots, but it has zero nutritional value, and they need more of it an hour later. Their confidence is not internal. It's rented, and the rent is due every single day. This is why they surround themselves with admirers or people they can control. It's why they dominate conversations, telling the same heroic stories over and over. They are not talking to you. They are refueling. They are reminding themselves that the character they are playing is real. Without that constant stream of external energy, the lights in the castle start to flicker, the facade begins to crack, and the terrifying silence from the empty throne room gets a little louder. And the system will do anything to prevent that. Now, any operating system has features that define how it works. In this case, the most important features are the ones that protect the false self at all costs. These aren't bugs in the system. They are the core of its programming, and they are what make interacting with this system so confusing and destructive. The first feature is a profound lack of empathy. Expecting a narcissist to feel empathy is like trying to download a movie on a flip phone from 1999. The hardware just isn't there, and you'll just end up frustrated. To the operating system, empathy is a virus. It's a security threat. To truly feel what someone else is feeling, their joy, their pain, their reality, would require the narcissist to step outside of their own fantasy. It would mean acknowledging that other people are real, that their needs are valid, and that they exist as more than just characters in the narcissist's personal movie. This would create a catastrophic vulnerability. If your reality is valid, then their fantasy of being the center of the universe might be a fantasy. The system cannot allow this, so it treats other people not as human beings, a collection of thoughts and feelings, but as objects. You are either a mirror, reflecting our greatness back at them, or you are a tool, something to be used to get what they want. You are a source of supply. If you stop providing that supply, or if you become inconvenient, the system discards you. It's not personal. You don't get mad at a broken toaster, you just throw it away and get a new one. That is the cold, functional logic of the system. This leads directly to the next feature, a deep and unshakable sense of entitlement. They move through the world like they have a VIP pass for life that only they can see. The rest of us are just standing in line, apparently. This isn't just arrogance, it's a core belief that the normal rules of social conduct, of fairness and reciprocity, simply do not apply to them. They are special, and the world owes them. They expect the best treatment, the most attention, and for people to bend to their will, not because they've earned it, but because of who they believe they are. When they don't get what they want, the system registers an error. It does not compute. The reaction is not disappointment. It's rage, or a cold, punishing fury. It's the famous narcissistic rage. It's the shock and horror of a god discovering a mortal who doesn't believe in them. Finally, there's the system's ugliest glitch, a corrosive, all-consuming envy. Because their sense of self is so fragile, they cannot tolerate the success of others. Someone else's good fortune doesn't just make them feel bad, it feels like a personal attack. If a coworker gets a promotion, the narcissist doesn't think, "Good for them." They think, "That should have been mine. It was stolen from me." Every bit of praise and attention you get is a unit of supply that they didn't get. They live in a zero-sum world. For them to win, you have to lose. This is why they can be so subtly undermining, so quick to downplay your achievements or find a flaw in your happiness. Your light doesn't just remind them of their own darkness, it actively threatens to drain their power. And the system will fight back to restore its place at the top of the food chain. For a long time, this is all you see. The grand performance, the constant need for fuel, the coldness, the entitlement. You see a god, a tyrant, a monster, and you think the problem is that they are too full of themselves. But that is the illusion. That is the fortress. We've been looking at the outside of the castle. Now it's time to go inside. What is all this for? What is this massive, energy-consuming, life-altering operating system designed to protect? The answer is nothing. A void. A terrifying, silent, bottomless emptiness. This is the great flip in understanding narcissism. The grander the fortress, the more desperate the defense, the smaller and more terrified the thing it's protecting. At the core of the narcissist is not a god, but a black hole of shame. It's a profound, primal sense of being worthless, defective, and unlovable. It's a secret they can never, ever allow themselves to consciously feel. Because feeling it would not be just painful, it would be annihilating. It would be the end of them. The entire operating system, the false self, the need for supply, the lack of empathy, the rage. It is all a frantic, lifelong sprint away from that inner reality. The whole performance is a desperate distraction, a loud, bright fireworks show designed to keep them from having to spend even 1 second in silence with their own inner world. They act superior because they feel inferior. They project perfection because they are terrified of their own flaws. They demand love because they don't believe they are capable of being loved for who they are. It's a strange paradox. The person who acts like the main character of the universe secretly feels like an extra with no lines. This is not an excuse for their behavior. The damage they cause is real. But it is an explanation. The god you see is a hologram projected over an abyss. The tyrant on the throne is a terrified child, hiding from a ghost. Their greatest fear isn't being hated or opposed. It's being seen for what they truly feel they are, insignificant. And the moment the supply is cut off, The moment the applause stops, the moment they are left alone in the quiet, they can feel the gravitational pull of that black hole. And it is the most terrifying feeling in the world. That is the secret that fuels the entire machine. So what does this mean for you? Why is it so important to understand this strange, broken internal system? Because this system is not self-contained. It's parasitic. It needs a host environment to survive, and it pulls people into its gravitational field to play a role in its fantasy. When you enter a relationship with a narcissist, as a partner, a child, a friend, an employee, you are not being invited into a partnership. You are being auditioned for a role. The system needs you to be a dedicated source of supply. It needs you to be a permanent member of the audience, always clapping. It needs you to be a mirror, constantly reflecting back the image of perfection they so desperately need to see. At first, this can feel amazing. This phase, often called love bombing, is the system at its most effective. It studies you, learns what you want, and becomes the perfect partner, the perfect boss, the perfect friend. It's a magic trick, and it feels incredible. But you are not falling in love with a person. You are falling in love with a reflection of your own desires, a character custom built to win you over. Once you are locked into the system, your purpose changes. You are no longer a person to be won over. You are a utility to be managed. This is where the destructive maintenance tools come out. The most famous one is gaslighting. Gaslighting is not just lying. It's a sinister form of psychological manipulation. It's the slow, steady erosion of your reality. They will deny things they said, invent things you did, and subtly question your sanity and perception until you start to believe them. Dealing with gaslighting is that weird feeling when you know it's sunny outside, but someone is trying to sell you an umbrella so convincingly that you start to feel a little damp. It's designed to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel crazy. Because if you can't trust your own mind, you become completely dependent on their version of reality. A version in which they are always right, always good, and you are always the problem. This is all part of a larger process of dehumanization. To the system, your feelings, your needs, and your dreams are an inconvenience. They are bugs in the program. They distract from the primary mission, feeding the false self, so the system will slowly chip away at them. You become less of a person and more of an appliance, a fuel source. And when an appliance breaks, or when it stops providing good fuel, it gets discarded without a second thought. It's a tragic system, often born from deep childhood trauma where a stable sense of self was never allowed to form. But knowing the origin story doesn't change the outcome. You were never in a relationship with a person. You were in a relationship with their defense mechanism, and a defense mechanism cannot love you back. It can only use you. So, what do? If you recognize this pattern, if you feel that gravitational pull, what is the way out? The natural human instinct is to try to fix it. We think, if only they could see the pain they're causing, if only they understood, if only I could reach that true self hidden inside. This is a noble instinct, and it is completely wrong. Trying to use reason and emotion to change their mind is like sending a strongly worded email to a hurricane. It might make you feel better for a minute because you feel like you're doing something, but the storm is still coming. You cannot use logic to fix a problem that is not based on logic. Their operating system is not designed to process your reality. It is designed to protect its own. Your pain, your arguments, your pleas for empathy, they are all filtered out as threats or dismissed as attacks. The system is self-protecting. It has decades of experience in deflecting, projecting blame, and turning your arguments back on you. You cannot win this game. In fact, the more you try, the more supply you provide. Your emotional reactions, your frustration, your anger, it's all fuel. The only way to deal with this system is to stop engaging with it on its terms. The cure isn't for them, it's for you. It's the realization that you cannot fix this. The only move is not to play. This means building a firewall. It means setting strong, unshakable boundaries. A boundary isn't a request, it's a statement of what you will and will not accept. It's about taking back control of your own reality. In many cases, it means creating distance, either emotionally or physically. It means cutting off the supply. When you do this, the system will likely panic. It will lash out. It might try to charm you back in, or it might escalate its attacks. This is the system trying to reboot, to re-establish its power source. But if you hold firm, if you refuse to play your assigned role in their drama, the system will eventually have to go looking for fuel somewhere else. This is not about defeating them. It's about saving yourself. It's about stepping out of the gravitational field so you can find your own center of gravity again. In the end, this isn't just a psychological curiosity. It's a human tragedy. We've explored the operating system, the empty fortress, and the black hole inside. We've seen how it consumes others. But the final, quiet tragedy is what it does to the person running the program. The God with the black hole inside isn't a story about strength. It's a story about the most profound kind of weakness. It's about a person who, long ago, made a terrible choice. They chose to abandon their authentic, flawed, vulnerable self in favor of a perfect, powerful, imaginary one. They built a beautiful, impenetrable fortress to protect themselves from the world, and then they starved to death inside because they forgot to build a door. Their life is a performance for an audience that can never truly be satisfied. And the greatest illusion they maintain is not the one they show to the world, but the one they show to themselves, that the fortress is a home, that the performance is real, and that the echo of their own voice in that empty throne room is the sound of love. It isn't. It's just the sound of being alone.